take a looky at the Alien RPG dice, shall we? We have 2 sets of dice, unlike, say, when you're playing mutant games, which this system ostensibly is. Where they have the 3 different colours sets, we have the 2 here. And you'll notice the big difference straight away is that the black ones have normal ones on, and the yellow ones have face huggers as their ones. And these 6s have these on, which is the shared symbol with the 6s here. And these are base dice, and these are stress dice. And that's what this game uses. And when you buy these dice sets, it comes with 10 of each. So a quick look at the dice. The dice themselves are engraved, 16mm. They feel fairly okay in the hand, I suppose. They are very clear at the very least, which is what you want your dice to be. Some concerns, I think, over the weighting, perhaps. As soon as I look at that 6 there and all that extra design on there, I think, ooh, that's going to be some weighting issues, surely, you know. Isn't that going to keep coming up as... Isn't that going to favour the 6 and 1 quite a lot? And with what... This one doesn't seem to be doing it, but the one that I was rolling before... well, there's a 1. It was coming up... Oh, there's another 1. It was coming up with 6 and 1, quite a heck of a lot. So that's my only concern, seeing as... Oh, no, that's 3, isn't it? It's not. Anyway, yeah, so they seem okay as dice, and there's pretty much, that's all I can say, you know. They're a bunch of cubes with patterns on. There's not a lot more to say. So I'll spend the rest of this time talking a little, just as a little refresher about the mechanics. Of course, if you don't care about that, you can tune out here, but just as another little sort of refresher about the mechanics. So base dice, yeah, you take your GM asks you to do the skill roll, so you take your attribute of the 4 attributes, right, add that up, you take your skill that's being asked for, and that skill obviously has a connected attribute, so you take those 2, you add them up, and you take any gear bonus that the weapon gives you. It would say like +1, +2, +3, something like that on the actual, or item. It doesn't have to be a weapon, it can be an item, you know, anything that just helps you do your job better. So you take all those 3 factors, and I guess anything else relevant that gives you a bonus or minus. And you roll that many of these, just these black dice here, and that's fine. So, you know, you roll a bunch of them. So we'll say we've got that many to play with in our little example. Cool, yeah. And then however much stress you've got at that moment, you roll that many stress dice. So in our example, we'll say our person has 2 stress, yeah? So we take this many dice, and that's it. And that's what you roll for that skill check. If you were more stressed, you'd get to roll more of these. And in this, 6s are successes. So obviously the more stressed you are, the more success passings and stuff. Yeah, very good. Okay. So we've just done this roll for whatever it was. It was, I guess, a roll in skill to talk about these dice. And we've had 1 success. So it did pass. So that's fine, it passed. In this game, you know, no successes at all. That's when bad things can happen. But now you'll see that we have a 1 here. So in this game, well, I'm saying that it passed, but that's actually one of those ones. Now, if that had been a black one, that would have been fine. But because it's a stress dice one, it means that actually it didn't succeed, regardless of that. In fact, you will now do a panic roll. You panicked, and we will be doing the panic roll, and the thing will not succeed, and you don't get to re-roll push mechanic. So the panic will happen. So that was actually very, very bad. Now, for the sake of things, if that was like that, and that was like that one, then that's fine. No stress, no panic, and we have 1 success. The success could be, you know, a 6 on one of these. So if this one was a 6, you could say, okay, so we have a success. That's cool, yeah. And now we can use that other 6 as a stunt to do an extra thing. Cool, yeah. So there's a list on every single skill through the book, and, you know, with suggested stunts that you could do with it. But, you know, if it was damage, for instance, you know, that you do your weapon damage, and you could say use that to add 1 extra point of damage per 6, or you could, I don't know, grapple someone, or you could pin them, or you could try and disarm them, or some sort of thing like that. So that's that amount of 6s. Now, if we had a situation where we had no successes at all, we get to take all the dice that aren't 6s, or even if you had a success, if you wanted to make the success better, you can take all the dice that are not 6s still. And of course, if you had a 1 in your stress dice, then you don't get to push. You take them all, and you get to re-roll all those non-6s and have another crack at them. There's another danger of obviously rolling a 1 on your stress dice. There's always that fear from pushing your roll, as this is called. In Mutant, you would not be able to push 6s or 1s, so that one wouldn't have been able to be pushed. So they'd be put aside, and then you would have taken damage to the stat for the 1. But that's not the case here. You just re-roll all these non-6s. Cool, okay. But because you're pushing your roll, you gain an extra stress, which you add to your stress points, and you have to roll it immediately for the push roll. Okay? So it takes effect immediately. One little one-hand jangle here, and then boop, and we have a 1, but it's not on the stress die. No successes. Nope, 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 and aha! Just in the nick of time, a success, and no stress results because the 3 stress dice are 3, 4, and 5, so they're fine. So we've succeeded. We've pushed. You now have 3 stress instead of 2, but you've succeeded in the action. That is basically it. So it's easier than Mutant, so you don't track all those broken other stats, but it's more complicated in that the stress is a trackable thing, and it leads to indeed panic situations. And of course, there's several different incidences that create stress, not just pushing a roll. So you could accumulate it pretty quickly if you're not careful. And there we are. There's the dice, and I'll see you at the next one.